Hi guys, so I have to admit to a guilty pleasure. I love watching corrupt politicians, charlatans, cheats, crooks, Tory MPs basically, engaging in mental gymnastics in order to avoid a question, twisting themselves into knots over an issue. Now, you're going to hear from the Foreign Secretary, Dominic Raab, in a moment, but this is in regards to quite a funny story. But deep down, there's something serious here. Now, it says this is in the Daily Mirror. It's also reported in the Daily Mail. As far as I know, it says here, Tory donor asked to fund Nanny for Boris Johnson's baby, as Prime Minister needs £300,000 to get by. The benefactor is said to have moaned, "I resent being asked to pay to literally wipe the Prime Minister's baby's bottom," amid claims the PM needs to double his £157,000 salary just to survive. Now, I've talked about this before on the channel. Boris Johnson has been complaining about how he can't survive. He's miserable at the moment because he doesn't have enough money to get by. He can't get by on £157,000 a year. Now, I understand that this is smaller in respect to other world leaders. Some world leaders earn 2 or 3 times this amount of money. But if Boris Johnson can't survive on £157,000 a year, how does he expect people to survive on £97 a week on universal credit? How does he expect people to survive on, £10,000 a year, £15,000 a year, £30,000 a year? He's claiming he can't survive on £157,000. Now, it's important to remember that Boris Johnson also receives money from royalties for books. So it's not just this £157,000 a year. That's his salary. He has other income. But it shows how disconnected he is from reality. He wants 300,000. And now what he's doing, it seems, is that there's been pressure put on donors to help pay for Boris Johnson's nanny, basically. He can't afford a nanny, so he wants somebody else to pay for it. Now, there is a problem with this type of corruption where a donor gives money to a politician and they get something in return. But in this case, someone is donating money. Yes, they're getting something in return in a different way, but it's gone to a stage where the Prime Minister is putting pressure on donors to give more money, and the justification is, well, I need a nanny, or I need, to buy expensive wallpaper. But let's hear how Dominic Raab dealt with this.
Okay. Let's just try and ask about another claim that's in the Sunday Times. I've got a feeling I know what the answer to this one's going to be as well. But the Sunday Times has also been told that the Prime Minister asked a Conservative Party donor to pay for his childcare costs. Is that true?
I've got no idea. You don't think I have conversations like that with the Prime Minister. I can't comment on every little bit of gossip that's in the newspapers, Sophie. I've had a pretty full schedule this week and next week with the G7. I've been out at the UN Cyprus talks. I've been talking to the UN Secretary General, so forgive me if I don't know all the ins and outs of the Prime Minister's private life, and I wouldn't comment on them even if I did.
It's not the Prime Minister's private life, though, is it? It's not just gossip. The Electoral Commission is investigating whether the law has been broken.
Exactly. So, and I think the right thing to do.
So it's not gossip, is it?
I think it. Well, the last thing you asked me about, I think, is an example of tittle tattle. But look, I'm not down.
But the problem here is not so much whether Boris Johnson got a nanny or not. It's the leader of the country is putting pressure, it seems, on donors to give him more money. The credit card has been maxed out. Give me some more money. But these are donors. I struggle with how people don't understand the gravity of this issue. A Conservative Party donor is giving money to get something in return. So in this case, where we see here that someone is complaining about having to pay for nappies or whatever it is, what is that person getting in return? They're moaning about having to donate money to Boris Johnson to get him over a hump. What is that political donor getting back? That's what's important.
doubting that there are important issues at stake, which is why the Electoral Commission review should be allowed to run its course. And I don't think the right thing for me to do is say anything that could prejudice or is political commentary on that.
Is £157,000 a year a decent salary?
Yes, of course it is. And if you're referring to, if you're referring to what cabinet members or the Prime Minister, and of course we know when we go into public service, we do it as a matter of honour.
Please don't use that word. We do it as a matter of honour. Then you do it for free. You're not doing it as a matter of honour. But the salary is not the issue so much here. The problem is that for Boris Johnson, the salary is not enough. He wants other people to top him up. But of course, those people will top him up, and the government, have to pay these people back in some way. If Boris Johnson can't afford to survive on a Prime Minister's salary, then he shouldn't be Prime Minister. He should go and do something else. He should go back to journalism, if you call it that. He should start doing world tours, explaining how to destroy your own country, how to cheat, how to lie. You know, he could call up his friend Nigel Farage. He could give him some pointers.
And it's a great privilege to be able to do these roles, these jobs in government. And of course, Sophie, you'll know that we've been freezing ministerial salaries for many years now. We've taken that decision because of the financial climate that we're in.
No, you're doing it because you have to. Because if you're telling, for example, the NHS, I'm sorry, we can't afford to pay you anymore, you can't turn around and say, well, we're going to give ourselves a pay increase, because the public would go insane.
And we do these jobs because we're committed to public service.
Does anyone actually believe this? Does anyone actually believe that Dominic Raab is a Secretary of State or Foreign Minister because he cares about the public, because he cares about doing a good job? The guy who didn't know where Dover was, or didn't know the importance of Dover. The guy who was responsible for dealing with the situation in Northern Ireland to a certain extent, and admitted to not actually reading the Good Friday Agreement. This is not about public service. This is about preparing yourself for the future. Because you know that as soon as Dominic Raab leaves office, he'll be given a job in some company where he'll work basically as a consultant, as a lobbyist for that company in order to gain access to government. That's how it has always worked. You know, we're somewhat shocked when we hear about David Cameron, but that's normal behaviour. The shocking thing is that the company was collapsing and David Cameron was putting pressure on ministers. But this is basically normal behaviour. It's nothing really shocking. Dominic Raab does not care about the public. He doesn't care about public service. If he did, he'd understand the importance of Dover. He would understand the importance of the Good Friday Agreement. And he definitely would understand the impact of Brexit. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?